So we'll call to order the City of Oxnard Planning Commission regular meeting for Thursday, September 17, 2020. May we have roll call, please?
Chair Frank,
Here.
Commissioner Chavez,
Here.
Commissioner Dozier,
Here.
Commissioner Fearing.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. And may I ask Commissioner Dozier to lead us in the pledge? Commissioner Dozier, can you?
Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't quite hear you. Okay. Could you all place your hand over your right heart and repeat after me? I pledge allegiance
to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We'll move to item C on our agenda this evening. It's public comment. This is on items that are not agendized, not on our agenda. Do we have any public comment, Michelle?
Chair Frank, we do not.
Thank you very much. We'll move to item D, our consent agenda. This is approval of the minutes of August 20, 2020. Do you have a motion?
Chavez for the motion.
Oh, you know what? I don't know. Here we are in the situation again where I have to abstain, and we only have 3 other commissioners here. So I don't think that's a quorum of those who are in attendance. So I would move to continue this consent agenda item to our next meeting.
Chair Frank, this is Scott Kolbitz in the council chambers. Commissioner Meyer just joined us.
Jeremy just showed up.
So if you want to take away the motion to continue?
No, because now we have 4. So Commissioner Meyer, we're on the consent agenda approval of the minutes. I have to abstain, so I'm asking for a motion to approve the minutes, please.
Chavez
moves. Second?
second.
Motion by Chavez, second by Fearing. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Chavez,
Yes.
Commissioner Fearing,
Yes.
Commissioner Dozier,
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer.
Yeah.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Moving to item E. This is ex parte declarations for public hearing items. This is the Verizon Danube and the Mullen Automotive Museum. Anybody have any ex parte communications on either of those items? I have.
Chavez, no.
No.
ex parte communications.
Commissioner Dozier?
No.
Commissioner Meyer?
No.
Thank you. We'll move to item F1. This is the Verizon Danube Planning and Zoning Permit number 18-530-01, special use permit request regarding a wireless communications facility. And our planner is Jade Dobrowski. You may proceed.
Chair Frank, this is Chavez. I think that's a continued item to a future date.
We're not certain about that, Commissioner.
No, that is accurate. Staff's recommendation is to continue this item to October 1st, and we would be looking for a formal motion from the Planning Commission to make that happen.
No appearance by the applicant, Mr. Kowalski.
No presentation at all today from staff.
Thank you. I've moved to continue to October 1.
Second.
Roll call.
could you repeat who seconded the motion, please?
Chavez.
Commissioner Dozier, seconded.
Dozier.
Thank you, Commissioner Dozier.
Mhm.
Chair Frank,
Yes.
Commissioner Dozier,
Yes.
Commissioner Chavez,
Aye.
Commissioner Fearing,
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Moving to item G1, our second public hearing this evening. This is the Mullen Automotive Museum alcohol sales request, planning and zoning permit number 20-510-04 for special use permit. Again, Mr. Dobrowski.
Item before you this evening is known as the Mullen Automotive Museum Alcohol Sales Project. It is also planning and zoning permit number 20-510-04. The applicant is also online with us this evening for the hearing. The request is for a special use permit to allow the sales of beer and wine for off-site consumption within a gift shop area, approximately 210 square feet, within the existing automobile museum known as the Mullen Automotive Museum. Alcohol sales are requested between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. daily, but staff recommends alcohol sales occur between 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. daily. The applicant that operates the Mullen Automotive Museum also has a winery and intends to sell their own wine in the gift shop area. Bear with us here, we're checking the slideshow.
Take your time.
Are you folks able to see the slideshow?
No.
We're on, okay. We're working on it.
Commissioner Frank, is it okay if we continue giving a verbal presentation?
Sure.
Okay, sure. A little history about how this building came to be. In 1987, the Planning Commission approved a special use permit for the existing industrial building. A couple years later, in 1989, the planning manager approved a minor mod for the construction of a mezzanine. About 10 years later, in 1999, the planning manager approved another minor mod for another addition to the mezzanine area. Then in 2009, the planning manager approved a minor mod for solar equipment, rooftop area, elevator facade improvements, screening elements, and landscaping. In 2010, the planning manager approved a zone clearance for the Mullen Automotive Museum. The Mullen Museum has been operating on site since 2010. The project is located in the geographic center of Oxnard. The project site has a general plan land use designation of Industrial Limited and has a zoning designation of Limited Manufacturing Plan Development. The project site is located within the Channel Islands Business Center. The project site is mostly surrounded by limited manufacturing uses. There is a church to the southwest across Emerson Avenue from the project site. The project site is an industrial building, much like all the surrounding structures. The proposed alcohol sales would occur within the gift shop area, and that's near the entrance to the building. The gift shop area is approximately 210 square feet. As part of this request, this project has been reviewed by the police department. The police department has found that the crime rate within 1,000 feet of the site is approximately 12.5% the average for commercial properties throughout the city. Thus, the site is not considered to be a policing problem. No safety concerns were noted by the beat coordinator or by neighboring businesses. This police department review was pursuant to City Council Resolution 11896. The findings of the report are as follows. The crime rate around the site is below the commercial average. There is not an undue concentration of alcohol establishments per the city standards. There is an undue concentration of alcohol establishments per ABC standards. However, ABC can override the saturation for public convenience. This is a graphic, which I understand you can't see, but it shows the city concentration, which is a 1,000-foot radius. There's only one other alcohol establishment within that 1,000-foot radius. There's also another graphic which depicts the state concentration. And the state concentration, by comparison, is the entire census tract that extends from South Oxnard Boulevard all the way up to past north of La Colonia area. This project is not located within an established neighborhood. Therefore, a community workshop was not required or held for this project. Nearby business owners were contacted regarding this application. Of the property owners that were interviewed, some concerns were expressed related to the consumption of alcoholic beverages in the parking lot after a purchase, and also the consumption of alcoholic beverages inside the site during special events authorized separately with one-day permits. Based on the entirety of the police report, the police department finds that the site has not been a policing problem, and the police department has no concerns with the proposed operations as conditioned. Thus, the police department has no objection to issuance of the requested permit. The requested permit would be subject to conditions of approval. A few of those conditions include the following. Alcohol sales would be limited to the gift shop area. Alcohol sales outside of the gift shop area require a temporary use permit. Alcohol sales would be permitted between the hours of 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. And video surveillance systems, or a system would be required. The proposed project has been reviewed for its environmental impacts. The project does not require physical development. It does not trigger any thresholds in the city CEQA guidelines or any exceptions to the exemptions. Thus, the project can be found exempt from CEQA, and a notice of exemption will be filed. The project site is not adjacent to any residential uses. Notice of this Planning Commission hearing was posted on site and also sent to surrounding property owners. To date, staff has not received any public comments regarding the project. Based on the following discussion, staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve the project, finding it to be categorically exempt and pursuant to CEQA section 15301, and approve the resolution for planning and zoning permit 20-51004, subject to certain findings and conditions. That concludes my presentation.
Well,
I'm available for questions, as well as the applicant.
It was fascinating, really. Commissioners, any questions of staff?
No.
I'm seeing negative shakes.
None from me.
Okay.
I'm from Commissioner Dozier.
Travis got just a couple of questions.
I'm sorry, did you say you had a question?
Yes, sorry, Travis, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
So, Mr. Dobowski, thank you for the presentation. Just a quick question in regards to slide number 14, where it says that the businesses that were interviewed, the only concerns that they had was the consumption of alcoholic beverages in the parking lot. They're only selling wine, right?
Yes, Commissioner Chavez, that's correct.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
And then during special events, they have security on site, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, that's all for me. Thank you.
Is the applicant going to make a presentation so we can ask questions of the applicant?
Chair Frank, the applicant does not have a presentation. They are available for questions.
Okay. Would you repeat what you said about the temporary use permit being required for what?
Sure. So one of the conditions of approval is condition number 14, which states that alcohol sales outside of the gift shop requires a temporary use permit.
Okay, so that would be in the event they're having a function and they're setting up a bar in the show place area?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Are there any outdoor events that are held here?
Chair Frank, no. The building does have a rooftop viewing terrace, and the applicant can speak to their functions throughout the year, but they have not had any events outside of the building.
Okay, and well, let me ask them, do you have events on the rooftop? I don't know who's here to speak for the applicant. Who would like to speak for the applicant?
Chair Frank,
Yes,
my name is Laura Lawrence. I'm with the Law Office of Angus Jeffers, and I'm here representing the applicant, the Mullen Museum.
welcome.
Also with me is Alex Guillen. She is the operations manager at the museum, and she can address your questions with regard to the events that are held at the museum.
Great, thank you. Alex,
Yes, hi.
did you hear my
Good evening.
question? Tell me about the events inside and rooftop at the museum.
So on the rooftop, we don't have none. For the years that I've been working there, we haven't had any thus
Okay.
far.
All right, and how many events would you estimate you have inside the show area?
Approximately 5 that we had last year.
Okay, and do you have bar service on the showroom?
From out of the 5 that we had last year, I can only remember we had 2 that we had a bar service, and those were events, private events.
That what? Sorry, a little garbled.
Yeah, we out of the 3, 2 of them had a bar. They were private events.
Okay, and did you have a temporary use permit for those?
Yes, ma'am.
You did?
Yes.
Okay. So that's great. Now, let me ask you this. Is there an admission fee to get inside the museum?
When we're open to the public, yes. Of course, right now we're not open due to COVID because, state restrictions, but when we're open to the public, yes, we do have a fee.
Okay. So if I'm walking by, or I've heard that I can get a bottle of wine inside here, can I just walk in like a liquor store, buy a bottle of wine and walk out? Or do I have to pay an admission fee in order to avail myself of the gift shop?
That's a great question. Actually, if you're just coming in to purchase some wine, you would have to show proper ID, and yes, and of
So,
course sell you the wine. But we would have, when we're open to the public, we do have security there. We would make sure that you wouldn't consume it in the parking lot or whatnot. Yes.
yeah, no, I'm just, my concern is access. So because that area doesn't have a concentration and doesn't have alcohol readily available, that once the word got out that you have wine service, I call it wine service instead of liquor service, but you've got some wine availability there. Maybe this is a question for staff. Is there any difference in the considerations for a store like this versus another liquor store situation or winery or wine tasting place?
Chair Frank, we do have Scott Swenson with us today, who oversees all of our alcohol permits. I'm going to turn it over to Scott to speak from a police perspective.
Thank you. And Chair Frank, I believe this is a pretty unique situation because you're not going to get passerbys walking into a museum to buy wine.
I'm
There's
looking
not going
at
to be any
destination place or someone in the neighborhood who doesn't have anything within 1,000 feet, 2,000 feet, 5,000 feet, may consider this a source.
Probably in extreme sense. I don't see it being, first of all, they have to know that the museum's there and that they sell alcohol. There'll be no signage allowed showing that there's alcohol for sale at the site. It's basically an amenity to allow the operator to sell his own vintage from the gift shop. I don't see the neighborhood necessarily flocking there because they have a source of maybe 3 or 4 different kinds.
I'm not saying flocking. Please, don't try to exaggerate my concerns. I'm looking for, are we evaluating this any differently than we would if this were a wine tasting place that doesn't have any signs out front? Okay, never mind.
Okay.
Thank you. Are the bottles scoop tops or are they corkage?
They're corkage.
Okay. Are they sold by the case?
They're sold individually. We're talking about just 3 bottles. They're probably the demographic that would purchase these wine bottles. They have they're unique in their own way. They have a label with the French cars. And again, there are 3 bottles. And I would most likely say they would be purchased more as collectibles, considering the older demographic that we have that we cater to.
Except
at the museum.
People can come in and not cater the museum and just come in and buy wine. That's the distinction to me. All right, well, thank you. You've answered my questions.
You're welcome.
Commissioners, any question of the applicant? Commissioner Chavez.
Ms. Guillen, thank you. Just a quick clarification. There's only one entrance in, and I'm looking at the PowerPoint slide, and it kind of looks like there might be a lobby that leads into the gift shop. Is that correct? I'm not 100% about your layout.
Yeah, if you want to call it a lobby, yes, it's like a reception lobby area, yes.
Okay. And to get to the actual showroom, you have to go through doors, correct?
I didn't
I'm
hear
sorry.
the question, Chavez.
Yeah,
The question is, to get to the showroom, you actually have to go through another set of doors, correct?
so the gift shop area is located once you enter to your left-hand side.
Okay. I'm just trying to get the distinction that they're separated. The gift shop is separated from the actual showroom. But okay, thank you.
That's correct.
Okay,
welcome.
thank you.
I'm sorry, what was the answer?
Yes,
Is it separated
the reception area separated from the main salon.
with an enclosure like doors?
Yes, with the proper enclosures per se.
Okay. It was just garbled for me. Thank you very much for clarifying that. Commissioners, any other questions?
Yes, Chair Frank, this is Commissioner Dozier. I have a question for staff with a follow-on question to the applicant. For staff, you mentioned during your presentation, and thank you for the presentation, that there was a church nearby. Do you know the name of that church?
It's the big church.
We're double checking the name of the church for you,
Okay.
but it is a religious facility.
It's the
Okay.
one where it's the one where
Commissioner Dozier, I know that the police staff is familiar. They did interview the surrounding property owners, so they would have the exact name.
Okay, that's fine. I believe I've attended a few times there, so I'm familiar with it. But I just wanted to verify that it was the same church. And my follow-on question for that, and this would be, you can get that name to me later after. You can just email it to me. That'll be fine. You don't have to spend time on it right now. My follow-on question to the applicant is, with this license, do you anticipate an increase in your visitors and an increase in events?
Laura.
Oh, through the chair, Commissioner, I don't anticipate that there would result in an increase in visitors or an increase in events to the museum. It's just an extra benefit to those who are visiting the museum, because these different bottles of wine, they'll be selling 3 varieties of wine from Mr. Mullen's winery. And each of those different bottles has a different label with a collectible label with one of the cars that are in the collection there in the museum.
Right.
So I don't anticipate, it's just an added benefit when somebody comes to visit the museum to get a collectible.
Okay, that addresses my one concern, and the reason why I had asked about the church earlier is because I'm aware that during their service times, parking is short in that area. So if I know you already have enough parking to accommodate your business, but if there was going to be a anticipated increase in visitors, or due to the event and this license, then I would be a little concerned with overflow parking. But since that's not the case, that answers my question. Thank you, staff. Thank you, Chair.
You're welcome. Commissioners, any other inquiry?
Yes, Chair. Thank you, Chair. Yes, question for Miss Guillen. Hi, Miss Guillen.
Hi, Mr. Meyer.
We know each other from a previous life.
Yes.
Yeah, so Miss Guillen, I might have missed it, but so is this license to allow you to sell only the bottles, or is it also to allow for tasting within a gift shop?
Would just to allow to sell the collectible bottles.
Okay, so there's no consumption on site except for when there's a temporary use permit for an event.
Yes.
Okay,
That's correct, Mr. Meyer.
great. Thank you, Ms. Guillen. No further questions.
The witness may step down.
Yeah,
I knew the lawyer would laugh.
I just say that for the chair's benefit.
Of course.
Thanks. All right. Any other questions, commissioners? All right. Thank you very much. Very interesting. Okay. And a little fun too. Okay. So let's move into commissioner deliberation. Any deliberation, or do I have a motion?
Recommended.
Who made the motion?
I'll second it. This is
Chavez?
Jim Fearing.
Thank you. Chavez moved the recommended action, second by Fearing. May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Chavez,
Aye.
Commissioner Fearing,
Yes.
Commissioner Dozier,
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer,
Yes.
Chair Frank.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
How much does it cost to go in there?
Well, if you would like to come and visit us, just so you could check it out, for you, it'd be free. But for general admission. So
Okay.
if you're under 60, just to clarify, if you're under 65, it would be $16. Over 65 and students, $14.
Save $2. All right.
Yes. And if you're a student with ID, of course, you get a discount and perhaps for free, especially if you're working on a special project on automotive, of course.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Our pleasure.
There you go. All right. We'll move to item H on our agenda, study session / reports.
Nothing from city staff?
Okay. Thank you. Next, item I, Planning Commission business. Mr. Colwitz, you want to give us status on anything?
I will under the community development director.
Oh, I always
report.
miss that. All right. Commissioners, any business?
It looked like Commissioner Chavez had an
I
announcement for us.
see that. Thank you, Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, Chair. This is a question to staff. Because we're on the COVID stages right now, and I know personally that in LA we're having outdoor dinings on the sidewalks. What step is being taken in our city for outdoor dining and in areas that unfortunately don't have that luxury to have outdoor dining?
Commissioner Chavez and planning commissioners as a whole, early on in the pandemic, we modified our standards to allow restaurants throughout the city to actually expand their restaurants into their parking lot areas, and we reduced the parking requirements that are out there. We tried to make it as streamlined as a process as possible. It's a process that we facilitate through the director's office. There's certain information that the individual businesses need to provide to us, but we've made it an electronic submittal and facilitate that process. I forget the exact number of restaurants that we've permitted already through this the entire city, but it's a fairly substantial number of restaurants that we have signed off already to have outdoor facilities.
Now, what about restaurants that are in areas where they don't really have access to their parking lots? Is there an option to have maybe sidewalk dining if it's relatively flushed up against their business?
The short answer is yes, it's flexible. There's processes where someone could actually have it on the sidewalk or possibly even in the street and take over some street parking. There are certain requirements that they need to work with us to get that. But the idea was to work with the businesses as much as possible in a safe manner to allow people to enjoy their food, as well as to continue having businesses operate throughout the city.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you, staff. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Dozier, did you have a comment?
Yes, I just wanted to add that I have seen outdoor dining available in the Esplanade Shopping Center. So there are places within the city that are taking advantage of it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Anyone else? I don't see anyone. All right, we'll move to item J. You're on, Mr. Colwitz.
Okay, thank you, Chair Frank, and members of the commission for being here tonight. Two quick announcements for you. One is your next meeting will be happening a few weeks from now on October 1st. So we look forward to all of your participation that evening. 6 o'clock is the start time. The second one, a little bit later in October, we're going to be holding a virtual meeting for our housing element update and sites inventory. As you all know, we're actively working on our housing element update. It needs to be adopted by the City Council come October next year. And we've moved completely into a digital platform to try to engage with the community. If anyone wants to participate in that, what we would request is that you, members of the public at large, so feel free to spread this message, would send us an email asking to participate in that meeting at our general email address, theplanning@oxnard.org, and you'll get an invite to participate in a meeting like this. The hope is that we will not have a technical glitch like we did tonight. Knock on something that this is the first meeting that we've actually had this sort of technical glitch, and hopefully it's the last one. But it's a fairly robust online interactive process that we're trying to engage the community with. So we have 8,500 units that the state has asked us to locate in our fair city over the next 8 years. And we have some ideas, but we're hoping others are bringing their ideas as well. So those are my two quick announcements for you.
And I'm sure I speak on not only on my behalf, but on my commissioners, that the sooner we could get those documents, the better.
Yes.
That would be very, very helpful, because this is, again, another labor-intensive, detail-oriented project that we need to address. Okay? Okay, thank you. Any other business? We'll stand adjourned. Have a pleasant evening.